Warrantai Council for December 2023 open. Thank you for your attendance. Warrantai Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands within the Warrantai and acknowledges the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who reside within this shire. Council, I call for apologies and applications for leave of absence. I think the General Manager has a couple there.
Mr Mayor, I received apologies from Councillor Higgins and Councillor Kinsey.
Thank you. Someone happy to move those apologies? Councillor McCloskey, second. Councillor Drews. Any further? Put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Councillor, we move on to the minutes of the confirmation list. Our last meeting held on Thursday, the 26th of October. Someone happy to move those minutes? Is a true and accurate record of that meeting? Councillor Jackson was happy to move. Second. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Jackson.
I have a comment to make and to maybe accept it.
Councillors, any comments, questions regarding the minutes of our previous meeting held in October? Nothing further. We'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Disclosures of interest. General Manager, are we aware of any disclosures of interest for this meeting?
There's a small chance Councillor Derrick might have one.
Yes, thank you. Just in case, the airport committee minutes, although a decision isn't made or recommendations have been made in regard to the terminal building, I would declare an interest, as I have previously, for that committee meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Derrick.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's it.
No. No. Thank you. Bill till in the Community Holocaust Council. Moving on to the reports of the committees. The first of those being the one Public Arts Committee held on Monday, the 6th of November. Someone happy to move the recommendation there? Councillor Jackson, you're happy to move. Second, Councillor Walker. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. You've received the minutes for yourself, and a lot of the work has been completed now. In regards to the view installations, as was mentioned, the view installation at Showdown Racecourse is along behind track there. We did have some discussion about further public art ideas, just loosely looking at some of the things we could do. And I would like to take the opportunity to commend Raymond in his role as the key facilitator and driver of all of these mural projects. He's worked with all the different artists and providers, as well as the committee themselves, who are at times quite fussy in their views about what they like, because we have a lot of members of the public as well. And I really commend Raymond. Has done such a fantastic job, and thank you very much. And I would like to invite you, as the person who's driven all of this work, if you'd like to share something about the new installation.
I have nothing to add to that. It was the job that I was given. So I try my best to do everything that I can to achieve the outcomes that are required.
Mr Mayor, I think we're winning because we're producing some really good art, and it will put us on the map. It will put us on the map. Oh, we already are on the train.
Big six.
No, one of the big five. So it's just we've got two in Warrantai.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Any further comments? Sorry, Councillor Drews.
Comment, an observation. I've noticed a lot of people stopping at the toilet amenities near IGA and the butchers and getting lovely positive comments about fundraising.
Yes, well, thanks. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the Public Arts Committee meeting?
Follow that up by saying I heard just the other day, well, the caravan stopping at the one at the Lions Park, using the facilities and going and help and buying food. So that's a win-win for a lot of people. It's getting a lot of it's really clean inside, I believe.
We'll find out later in the day, Councillor Walker. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the Public Arts Committee? Nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour, yes, carried. Second committee meeting is that of the Economic Development and Promotions Committee held on the 2nd of August, that's the first one, yes. Councillor Derrick, I'm looking you to move that, yes.
Will I be able to move both of the economic development minutes together?
It'd be nice to get the same second, we'll just treat them if they were done separately if you want.
Yep.
Yeah, so
So,
I'll
just-
move both together and request a second.
Councillor Jackson, second.
Thank you.
Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Economic Development and Promotions Committee minutes, as per the business paper. So there's recommendations pertaining to the Economic Development Strategy and Action Plan, 3 Destination Foreign Marshes Task Force meetings, and the purchase of a pod copy machine at the Visitor Information Centre. I guess noting that the intent of that is to have coffee available when other businesses aren't open. So not when other cafes are open, but if a visitor comes in and it's outside the normal hours for a cafe, they will be able to get a coffee at the information centre. So yes, moving those recommendations, just with a small press that the spelling on Billy and Treat be amended, it's WILLIA. That's just any recommendations for the 2nd of August meeting. I'm happy to take any questions. Provide further information. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Derrick, how the Destination Foreign Marshes Task Force, is that progressing with the four groups involved? Is that council, you might, Environment,
Yep.
Chamber of Commerce,
Yep, so the Quarry Wetlands Association.
Association, yeah.
River Smart, Chamber of Commerce and Council. So we haven't met since the opening day of the Barama, but the next step is to proceed into workshops to develop our strategy and action plan. We were hoping to get that started this year, but that's obviously not going to happen at this very busy time, so that will be put forward to early next year. But certainly on track, and those workshops will be facilitated by our Economic Development and Visitation Manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the Economic Development Committee? Councillor Whiteley?
Through you, Mr. Chair, in the GM, I presume, can we comment on the employment of the Tourism Information Officer?
Oh, it's part of the Economic Development Visitation Office.
So we have employed, formally to the meeting, we have now employed a Tourist Information Officer.
Start Monday. Which is all positive. I hope that volunteers are able to continue doing weekend work. We're getting a fair amount of help still from River Smart Australia. There's, Mrs. Whitfield was very helpful, and now Jim is a River Smart volunteer doing similar hours on the weekend. And look, the next part of the phase is regional development. The Department of Regional New South Wales is hoping to help us with a trainee tourist information officer through Aboriginal grants and processes in the future as well. All positive. Economic Development and Visitation Office will hopefully climb at the same time as we expand our tourism and visitation industry.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the Economic Development and Promotions Committee meeting? Recommendations from that committee? Nothing further, we'll put that all those in favour. Carried. To meet at the Airport Operations Committee on the 8th of November. Someone happy to move the recommendations there? Councillor Taylor, you're happy to move. Second. Second, Councillor McCoskey.
Councillor Derrick declared an interest in this meeting.
Just, if I may, I'm not listed as an attendee at that meeting yet, I was. Give I leave a couple of items.
Yes,
Sorry.
exactly. Read that. Thank you, Councillor Costi. I was aware of that when I looked at them. And man chance. Yes, you do, man.
But in mysterious ways.
It'll get fixed up. Thank you.
Councillor Taylor, any
Just to explain the recommendation, item 5.3 there, that we're relocating the 25,000 that we had set aside each year to purchase, to get the RNAP. Well, at the moment, we don't have to water at this stage, so we have another meeting in February, I think it is, March, due to the proximity of the two hangars within 140 metres of the centre of the runway, plus the fuel stations in the wrong area. So it's in the best interest, as recommended by Castle, I think it was, that we get a wind shear report done, modelling report, and that's basically to cover our backsides really, safety, but yeah, that's the reason for that. So if we can move that 20, I think, according to Raymond, it cost about 25 grand for the wind shear and modelling, and once we have that, I think the northern approach is probably the more effective with all the sheds there. We need that report to cover our backside. We'll discuss the RNAV after another meeting with this chap in, is it March or February? March.
Early March, and we hope that we're able to get the man who's providing the final report, not just on wind shear or anything, but all the actions that we're progressing and documentation we're getting finalised to that, so he can fully explain information to that next committee meeting.
So who's that person? Is he a CASA person or?
And our consultants were engaged. So there's two separate consultants, a consultant to help us get all the documentation and information correct, and that they were following the rules correctly, and another one providing wind shear
analysis and potentially modelling. So if you, through Mr. Mayor, I found a second company who have provided a quote that's significantly less than the first one, but it's only for the desktop analysis initially. So they'll do the desktop calculations and to determine whether or not it then needs to go to wind tunnel testing to actually show what effects predominantly, as you said, a northwesterly wind would have on 0927 to create a turbulence wind shear issue for anything landing and taking off. So I've just got to review the documents that they've sent me to see if that's going to be the way to go, or we go with the first company which included everything.
Thank you.
Any further comments, questions regarding the airport operations committee meeting? Councillor Clerk will put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We expect Councillor Dare to return to the meeting. Council, we'll move on to the meeting of the Sporting Facilities Committee held on the 8th of November. Someone happy to move those minutes, the recommendations coming out of that committee? Councillor Whiteley is happy to move. Second. Councillor Taylor. Councillor Whiteley.
I commend the report to you. The Carter Oval complex was discussed, as was the plans in detail for the revamping of the amenities block of our pool. Everything seems to be progressing with the planning of the pool, there was some, discussions the user groups and actual physical, where doorways and storage units were needed by both the operator and the user groups, our infrastructure manager seems to have that under control as far as I know, but welcome any comment.
Mr. Mayor, I expect the tender for the swimming pool amenities upgrade will be advertised next Tuesday. And then Tuesday after, the relining of the swimming pool. It's just finalising the documents, and so that they're all both closing. One's 6 weeks, one's about 5 weeks because it's Christmas, and so I think they're both closing on the 16th of January. And hopefully goes to the January analysis to the January council meeting, directly to the council meeting, and hopefully then that gives perfect timing for both contractors, successful contractors, to organise themselves for that very, almost like April Fool's Day start.
Mr. Mayor, just a question to the GM or our manager. Preliminary discussions with, there are contractors interested through your consultant to do the lining work?
Yes. Yes. Most probably not the previous one.
Mr. Thoreau.
Item 3.6, the amenities upgrade, the very first dot point is of concern. Design size is to the very limit of the budget. You haven't put out the tender. How do we know that? And what does it actually mean? It's an estimate, is it? Like,
Yes.
and so what are the repercussions of that? If the tender comes back outside of the budget, do we adjust that down, or what's the plan?
The plan always was the $859,000 grant, which we've got to check. We're in trouble budget-wise, always was, and we always were considering there was a chance that we would have to dip in some of our own money.
Right. And so, and that design is final? Like, can we trim the design, something to be
Attempting to try to stay within that 859, but we know that there's a chance it could go over.
Right. More, please. Like, who starts a project knowing it's going to blow out? Who does that?
No.
Councillor Whiteley and then we'll.
There was, for Councillor Brewer's information, there was detailed discussion at the committee level about this in Manager Infrastructure Joe Joseph. We, as the best of his ability and his experience, did the initial planning to fit the budget with consultation with some of his colleagues, and obviously we can't go. We tried to make the planning of the building through Company Barnesons to fit the budget to the best of their ability. Will be tested by the tender process, but we've gone as far as we can at this.
There's two other points I would make. The first of those, when we received that grant, since that time building costs have increased quite significantly. That's the first point. The second point is the revised plan that did come back to manage the Sporting Facilities Committee after we had a pretty frank discussion about costings and size. Was it one longer room running the width of the building has been taken off the building to decrease the size of the building without compromising the integrity of the building. So we're really very much trying to stick within that 859 budget.
32 maybe 40 square metres.
Yeah.
And part of the process is trying to if the contractor can use, there's two options within it, is use of some of the facade and some of the foundation, to try, if it is cheaper.
The recommendations from Barnston's was that they thought the foundations were adequate and the facade could be done. That was from the planning company. But we can only test that when we go.
We'll try to squeeze as many locals as possible.
And I can emphasise to council, if it's all right, Mr. Mayor, that we are intimately watching the planning and tenant process. Councillor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the Sporting Facilities Committee meeting of the 8th of November? Nothing further, put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to the reports of our committees, and the first of those being the meeting of the Warren Local Mention Committee held on the 14th of November. Someone happy to move the minutes of that meeting, the recommendation being that the information received and noted. Councillor Derrick's happy to move. Second, Councillor Brewer. Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wasn't there. I don't have any questions, so I suggest that there are any questions that we will have to imagine Interior Services would answer those. Thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
I noticed, Rebecca Biles is present and absent.
Thanks for that. We just modify the minutes. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the meeting of the Local Emergency Management Committee? If nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried. To the report, the meeting of the Roads Committee held on the 21st of November. Councillor Whiteley, you have to move. Second. Councillor Brewer. Councillor Whiteley.
Yeah, I can, with pleasure, move the minutes of the Roads Committee to you. Another extensive meeting that went through the process of what we've been doing with our flood and how far we've got along with our road program. Our unfortunately absent today, Manager Engineering Services and the team are progressing, I think, remarkably well with our flood our second flood program. Travelling around the Shire, I see the boys working and our roads are progressing well. The major CAL projects are finished, and things seem to be going, in my opinion, pretty well. Thank you, Mr.
Do you want to update councillors about the 7515?
I was just adding on, because Warren Road is there. I mentioned in the pre-council meeting workshop that we're actually putting in three reasonably sized. There's three reasonably sized grants going in for, we'll call it road safety and bridge replacement to the Commonwealth Government. And most of those projects are 80%, 20%. And we've actually got, you've got your 511,000 for heavy patching on Warren Road there on that first page in the recommendation. And that's being added to hopefully just around $2 million to make a $2.5 million heavy patching reconstruction job out in the 7515. I'm just doing a final check. The acting roads infrastructure manager is putting together those grant applications. And we're just doing a final check to make sure that we've got our segments right. Trying to use every grant possible to make more grants. That's the idea. If we're unsuccessful, for example, Warren Road, we've got $511,000 worth of heavy patching. Other work is on those grant applications is going to be replacement. Ellen Dry Road.
Oh,
yes, yeah, bridge. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I forgot to mention that the intersections at Rifle Range Road, both from the Ellensdale Road and the highway, the roads committee recommended that we take some money from the Topham Road and spend it on the intersections between the highway and Rifle Range Road and Rifle Range Road and Ellender Road. The reasons for this is the safety of access to the road trains. We're bringing a lot of material out of the Ellender Road pit, and road train access onto the highway and road train access off the Rifle Range Road, the Ellender Road, in our opinion, needs a safety upgrade. That's where the GM was.
And we're hoping that the just under 700,000 that's left in that local roads and community infrastructure phase 3 project, that's part of adding to about just under 2.8 million for the Bogan, Nevertire Bogan Road is sufficient for that reconstruction out there, and that those two intersections get tidied up, because you can't drive a road train down the main street here. You have to use Ellender Road. Sorry, you have to use Rifle Range Road.
One went down there yesterday around the roundabout. Road train, that's good down Watson. Turn right, come across the ambulance, down here, then turn right, flappers.
okay. Yeah.
Police matter. We'll close the road Friday afternoon to stop that.
For a couple of hours. Yeah.
Lots of little things. And don't forget the work plan that's in green is actually stretched out over to 30th of June 2027.
Councillor McCloskey?
Question for ladies there. Couple of things with regard to that. The $1 million on the Bullagreen Road, whereabouts is that shoulder blending?
I can't tell you.
And 125k for heavy patching in Gillenden Street.
All part of yeah.
Because I wasn't at the meeting, yeah, so just curiosity where.
As not tell you offline, I'll do a check. The documentation was put, but
Yeah. We'll just check on that, but Gillenden Street has just been
Very
resurfaced.
soon.
Yeah. That's why I just, I'm just wanting to double check that too, Councillor McCloskey, thank you. Thank you. We'll get back and just sort those notes out, Councillor McCloskey, if that's all right. Because using that terms includes it's not here, it's just over.
And another one, if I may, Mr. I note the word collaboration with the RMCC comment. What was the deal there?
Just that those first 6 months, it was the only area that was actually marginal. Everything else was either satisfactory or good. But I can remember other people got good and superior for everything. And they're working on that, and it won't be a problem again, because collaboration between Transport New South Wales and the officers now has been superb. We've just got approval for $1.4 million for heavy patching. which a small chance some might happen before the end of the year, in the golf club, the rest of it in the new year, and Millwall section is getting finalised and costed. That could be over $3 million worth.
So that potentially a rehab of that section along by the Millwall there, on that straight.
Difficult section of road, Councillor McCoskey, as you will be fully aware. Any further comments, questions regarding the roads committee meeting? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried. Meeting of the plan committee held on the 21st of November. Councillor Brewer, you're happy to move. Second. Councillor Whiteley, Councillor Brewer.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's with some pleasure that we can talk about the Plan Committee meeting. There was one single item discussed, and it was about the reinvigoration of the quarry. There was an agreement put before us that there was some discussion, a little bit of massaging. If it passes here today, equipment will start moving to the quarry almost immediately, with works starting in a very short amount of time, maybe before Christmas, but certainly in the new year, which is excellent news for us. In that agreement, we will have a predestined amount of material, different sizes as specified for the needs of council, so it's going to be really, really good for us, I think, moving forward. So it's a well done to council for pushing this through, and the negotiations that have been ongoing to get this to where it is. It's an asset that would just lie dormant, and you know, it'll solve a bunch of our problems in terms of securing rock for all sorts of projects. So I recommend that this goes through in its current state without amendment, because it's we need to get this up and running and get it moving ASAP.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Brewer. Any comments, questions? Councillor White.
I just follow up on Councillor Brewer's comments that said, yeah, no, like, this is a win-win for everybody. I think it has been looked at, slightly changed, and hopefully our cooperation and relationship with the company involved grows and grows.
Thank you. So, subject to this being endorsed by the council, we've signed some contract with an agreement with.
Yeah, perfect. We're hoping either tomorrow or next
okay.
week.
Yep, fantastic. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the Plan Committee meeting? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried. Meeting of the Traffic Committee, Tuesday the 21st of November. Councillor Taylor, you're happy to move. Second. Councillor Bruce, Councillor Taylor.
I'm just moving the recommendation.
Just following bureaucratic requirements, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. No, always complete, good sense. No further comments, questions regarding the meeting of the Traffic Committee? Put that all those in favour? Yes, carried. The meeting of the Internal Audit and Risk Management Committee. Councillor Garrett, I'm looking at you.
Do I need to second that? Someone who's there? Or?
No.
No, I can move it, yep.
So moved by Councillor Garrett, second. Councillor Bruce, Councillor Garrett.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As per the minutes, and I would suggest the General Manager or the Divisional Manager of Finance and Administration might be better placed to provide any further detail on any of that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're just trying to set up a priority list of improvements that will happen over the next 12 months to 18 months of of using all the reviews that our internal audit has taken. The governance area has been an area that probably now needs some more full concentration on, and that's why I thought it appropriate to try to summarise everything and have the internal audit and risk management committee go over things. There's a chance in January council meeting, I'll be putting a report. This will probably be the second last meeting of the internal audit and risk management committee, because it becomes the internal audit risk and improvement committee, which has to be, starts latest the 1st of July 2024, and its requirements are much more onerous. Regulations have gone through, and its costs will be much more. We're attempting to try to reduce those costs by sharing with hopefully Hay and Belrin. And the major costs will be probably an independent chair. And we're hoping that other people who be free, meaning staff members, can populate the committee, each of the committee, but at bare minimum an independent chair that doesn't come cheap will be required. The reason why those three is our internal auditor does at least those three, plus a few others already, so it just helps with streamlining, not external auditor, but internal auditor, keep the case. But it's this, what comes from all the recommendations here is some priorities that senior management team and myself will progress for improvement.
Councillor.
A comment and question, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor. The item 4.4, with some amusement, that I see one of the priorities, the writing of a customer service ethos policy that's been kicked around since 2021. So good to see that someone else has picked that up as an outstanding requirement. And item 4.8 is the waste control review. The UMR Waste Committee, I think that's its name, was one of the committees that hasn't met in this last little period, but I'm assuming, this is a question, I'm assuming that they will be involved with the writing or at least reviewing of those policies and procedures, particularly procedures for the new waste transfer site. And I've got a question later on about how that's going, but is that what we're talking about there? How a document, a process and a procedure for the correct use and doing that safely out there? I don't care who answers the question.
How are we going to approach it?
There will be an education strategy that's circulated through appropriate media channels. Yep.
But in terms of document,
operational plan is talking about. You need to have a look at your business paper. It's actually it's an overarching operational plan be developed to include risk assessments, procedures, control measures, and future strategic actions. I would suggest we would be at least at bare minimum showing that committee for them to do a check and helping us for any extra.
And a further question to that then is, depending on the time frame for when the transfer station is complete, I'm not sure when that is, it's difficult to see any movement on it. This type of document needs to be up and running before that, or certainly before commissioning, doesn't it?
There already is a kind of operational changes already been instigated. that's why the manager talked about an education campaign, because that's the main point. We want to actually teach everyone what to do. But operationally, most of it is actually internal, how we're operating it. Between the two managers, they'll be able to talk about timing, whether is something going to finish or will it be early in the new year. Probably acting divisional manager and something. So
There's probably other agenda items in you that suit that more appropriately. If you want to leave it to that or talk about it now, I don't mind.
Happy to provide an answer for that. Through you, Mr. Chair, we, as a side, we've just awarded a contract to excavate the new cell for the plant, for the site, and we're going to try and piggyback on that for all the earthworks for the waste transfer station. So we initially were going to try and do it in-house as best we could, but with the amount of road work that we have currently on plan, we're going to try and utilise the contractor that we've engaged for the digging of the new cell as well. So that's a local contractor, the contractor. So all going well, that would be early in the new year, but that should be finished.
Okay, thank you.
You'll note on the in the minutes there was reference to the external auditor, and the only a couple of concerns that have been raised there, but they really relate to information technology, cyber security, and that you'll note that we've set aside a guild of 100K to work on that particular part of the operation, to get that tidied up, so you can train. Comment on that part in terms of the comments from the external auditors.
Yes, sorry, through the Minister there. There has been, at the end of each occasion of audit by the external auditor, they list certain items of critique or importance, and rating from a risk perspective. So items have been listed on there for consecutive years. One was around the ICT controls. So we're addressing that in this current period. Hopefully to have certain things in place before the end of June 2024. So one of the item utilizing that $100,000 additional budget is to address the records management system. So we're currently looking at what options we have, narrowing those. I guess riding in the coattails of a neighbouring council, a fair bit of time and money. Excuse me, progressing their investigations as well. So we're trying to reach out and leverage what other people are doing to save ourselves time and money. And hopefully we'll get a good result out of that and improve a lot of things. And then of course readdressing internal aspects around security controls and possibly moving towards having more of a hybrid in terms of IT, where we have somebody manage the service in part and then we manage the other part in-house. Whereas now it's currently all more or less in-house and we grab support if and when we need it. So we're working towards getting all of that improved as per the auditor's recommendations. It is a big job. It's something that without a pot of gold, sometimes you can't kind of just go full steam on it, but making progress.
the sad thing about it is that the audit office doesn't follow the rules of risk management. If something is a medium risk, it stays a medium risk because there's a matrix that determines medium risk, but because they've dictated that it's been on our list for between 3 and 5 years of needing some improvement, they call it high risk. So that's that we did actually have that argument to say we're not following the rules of risk management. A chance of something happening and the consequences give you level of risk, not because it's been on our list for a few years. We're still trying to work out, external auditor wise, the amount of work that they did regarding grants was, would you say, 4 times as much as normal? Because it's quite obvious that even after they came, they were told by the audit office, this is our kind of subcontractors to go and check all the grants of almost every council that you've got. Imagine the grants that we've got. And that took a lot of effort, to actually get done. When normally they do a sampling of 3 to 5. The previous divisional manager of finance administration said this is just not normal. Normally there's a test sample of about 3 or 5 to do an audit of, not every grant that we got or working on. How close is that a good summary?
I'd wrap it up and call it what they describe as a substantive audit testing. So generally, if there's a material change year on year or something that's completely new and different that we've disclosed, they look at it a bit further, and instead of a normal kind of approach and go 3 to 5 sample tests, arguably tick and flick, they went fine-tooth comb and they had a big whole scroll of individual grants in 3 different areas of what we report, and they wanted full detailed view from council as to why it was there, how it arrived there, the details of how we calculated what was received and spent, proving it back to where it hit the bank account. So it's a heap, just really high level.
Shows the
funding agreements and went right through it. So on one hand, that's good. But these are routine kind of grants that happen across the state. Most of them just happen every year with the exception of flood damage and other various capitalised grant monies that the government feeds in. But these for Warren have been a lot of them over successive years. So, things haven't changed since the last couple of times they were here. I'm just being a bit odd, but and in the dying hours, after they were here, this is a couple of weeks or more after they were here to do the audit, there's always a little bit of to and fro to side it up. But that was something that was just put on us when we were really already pushing it uphill, for lack of a better term, to get things done and submitted by the end of October. So it did create a bit of additional work.
What I would say though, this is not peculiar to Warren Entire Council. This has happened to every other council. So there's
either one of us a director from the audit office. His narrow mind couldn't believe the amount of work they were having to do.
No, this is true completely.
Yeah.
But so some guys are going to have to put up with it because the audit office has been getting some from them above.
Yes.
And they're just kicking it down.
Just to bring back in order, I think we've had the discussion about this and we move on. I'm mindful of the time. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the meeting of the Internal Audit and Risk Management Committee? Nothing further, put that. All those in favour, against, carried. To the meeting of the Water and Sewerage Committee held on the 23rd of November. Councillor Brewer, you're happy to move. Second. Councillor Drews, Councillor Brewer.
Councillor Higgins is an apology today. He's the chairman. So I'm going to go through each of the items from item 5.1. The river tank, the tank is required for Carter Oval. Carter Oval is a fairly large expanse of grass, and it's taking a fair bit of water and taking a fair bit of pressure out of the system. So it's been decided that to fix that and to allow maximum access for the rest of the town for river water for irrigation purposes and the like, a tank's required or flat to take the pressure off the system, which I think is highly appropriate. and it will ensure that Carter Oval is watered appropriately and without interruption of town services. So that's $80,000. Sounds like a lot. The next one, any questions on that one? It's fairly straightforward on that one. It's just an additional requirement, unforeseen need for a tank.
Through your committee? What size? How many litres? 10.
Oh, yeah, good question. 25, no, sorry.
250,000 litres.
So when it's in operation and Carter Oval is being irrigated, it'll come out of the tank. So the tank then will top up out of the town reticulation.
Correct.
So the drawdown from the irrigation, will it be greater than the reticulation topping up?
We believe that it won't be, and but the refill will be automatic just on a float valve.
That's, yeah, but what I'm saying though, the top up will equal the discharge, so the tank doesn't lose, if you know what I mean?
There will be some loss, and it will then have to recharge, but the fact that we'll be able to stagger the irrigation so that we don't draw the tank dry.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is typically it's 150 kilolitres, it's a 250 kilolitre tank. So one, I think that's the real question. So to a certain degree, we won't draw it down because supposedly one wet is 150 kilolitres. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
One wet of the whole surface area.
A little bit of labour.
Councillor Whiteley?
The logic of this is to draw the tank down. The bulk water can go out onto the oval and the refilling of the tank can be done at times that are suitable and over a period. And it is natural, that's why the tank's there, to draw it down.
Absolutely. Councillor Walker, I think you have a question?
Yeah, true. I was just wondering, I mean, is it thinking that you water at night and it fills at night when it's not so high demand by town?
That's what we're doing as well. The problem is that it still draws so much from the mains that if, as an example, there was a fire during the night and we were irrigating, there's a chance that the fire brigade wouldn't be able to draw any water from the network. So that will eliminate that, because that large volume being sucked out of the main by the irrigation pump won't be doing that. It'll just fill into the tank from the system quite slowly.
Thank you. Councillor Whiteley, and then we'll get back to Councillor Brewer.
Just briefly, I wondered if the acting visual manager would comment on the photo he showed me the other day of some of the river water at the moment.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as you may be aware, we're currently doing a vacuum clean of the river water system.
Yeah, I think we might consider this in town services. I think it's much more appropriate. This is to do with the Water and Sewage Committee.
Moving on to 5.2, which is essentially a complete failure of the pump at Collie Bore. It's been replaced, I think 12 months ago, a little over 12 months ago. It's not fit for purpose, so a new pump configuration is required out there. The old bore is in use. The new bore is basically unserviceable until it's fixed up and just needs an immediate bit of attention.
So the bore itself is okay, it's the pumping that
the pump's not fit.
that's
right. It's been replaced once and spares purchased. There's a claim in against the original suppliers to get some of the money back for the spares that we bought for the pump. That's inappropriate for the use, essentially. That's going to play out. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's more of a principal thing. They spec'd up a pump that wasn't going to be fit for purpose. It's failed at least twice, and it's now had it. So we're going to change that out, put a different pump in, and then therefore fix that.
So you're comfortable that or that your committee is comfortable that will fix the problem?
Apparently, yes. That's the advice we've got.
Thank you.
Going on from that, there is the issue of the whole Collie system, the tank removal and whatnot as well in connection to that system. So the whole, about the only thing that's any good is the pipeline from the bore to the town, but the tanks are going to have been removed and will be relocated on the site that you'll be familiar as you drive towards Warren. On the right-hand side, there's a stockpile site there where the gravel and whatnot goes. An area there is going to be allocated for the tanks because we couldn't become I think the term is what is that term? The owners or something of that? Land managers of that area, because there was native title, there was Crown and a whole bunch of issues with it. So we've still got to remove the fence, has to be moved. The tanks have to be re-established out there. Once the Colloid bore is sorted out, they'll go in there. There's also another high tank to be built with a tank for pressure on top of that, smaller tank. So there's a bit to go there as well. So suffice to say that we got a few things wrong out there, and we're a little bit caught out. We have a plan to fix it, and that will be fixed in the coming months. That will no doubt return to council.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, now, item 5.3. This is one of the most uncomfortable, I think, items that I've had to deal with in the committee and had to bring to council because it's a miss on us. And we've got a few things wrong on this. Essentially, we have about 50% of the surface area required to effectively run a sewage treatment plant and evaporation ponds. So we have to go back again and produce a new evaporation pond about the same size as the two we have there in total area. The figures, I think you can get the figures, the exact figures if required, but essentially we're using one of the old evaporation ponds at the moment to give us the sufficient surface area to evaporate and to process the waste, and it's going to cost in the vicinity of $780,000 we think. It'll go to tender in the new year. That's about the budget we're going to need to build this new evaporation pond. And there are other things still going on there, like the sample bores and things like that are already funded. They are on hold right now until we get that. And those sample bores test leakage and those sorts of things. They're currently on hold. That's been to council already. We funded that, so it's sitting on the bench. This will have to get done ASAP. It's very time critical. And for now, the old evaporation system, the old treatment plant is still licensed. So we're not doing anything that's not above board, but it's only a very temporary solution for it, and it can't form part of a permanent solution. So whilst we are in this pickle, we have a solution that's workable, and we need to dig another hole, essentially. That's that. Any questions for me on that? And I'd like to point out, this is an opportunity, I think, to point out that most of the council, not council laws, but most of the council were not around when this was going down. So Raymond's been very upfront with the figures and the engineering solutions for this, and has done a cracking job on getting a way forward for this. So thank you, Raymond, for the clarity you've given us at committee. I am disappointed that we've got to do this and I've got to come to council and try to get this across the line, but we have a clear plan now, and that's not in small part to the clarity that Raymond's given the committee to move forward with it. So I'd like to thank you here for that. And I would recommend that this is all three of these items pass today, because we don't have time to fiddle around any further with it.
Thank you, Councillor. Any comments, questions regarding or further information required regarding those 3 points that come out of the Water and Sewage, Committee. Councillor Boswell.
For what it's worth, I totally endorse what Councillor Brewer has said, particularly with reference to the treatment works. We've got ourselves in a situation for whatever reason, and we have a solution, we have no other option other than to go down the path of the recommendation to do what needs to be done. Unfortunately, like I say, we've found ourselves in this situation through no fault of anyone that's sitting up there. So I totally endorse what he says. It pains me that we have to fund this work, given we got money in the first instance to do the work. Now council have to dip into their own funds to go and finalise the project out there. So I don't believe we have any other option. Yep.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding those three recommendations coming out of the Water and Sewage Committee? Yep, let's get on with it, deal with it, get it kicked off. So, to be clear, that will go, each of those three, Councillor Brewer, we're just going to accept the price on the 2 tanks and go to tender on the third one. Is that how that appears to be working, or it might be a question for the...
Yeah, the removal of the 2 tanks is a separate part of the project. This simply looks at the bore pump refurbishment and replacement. We're confident of coming under that budget. That allows us to have a little bit of wriggle room on price. Whatever's left over will go into the removal of the tanks, and that's going to be spec'd up and budgeted for as a separate activity.
Yeah. 780 is definitely attending the other stuff. It's just validation.
Yeah. Thank you. Any further comments, questions? If nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour, against, carried. The minutes of the Mannix meeting held on the 27th of November, someone happy to move that? Councillor Whiteley's happy to move, second Councillor Whiteley.
The minutes are there for the council, and I invite the gentleman to comment.
Thank you.
Page 5, most interesting. So submission 1, revision B has been lodged. The first package of restoration work for AGRN 1034, that includes some of the AGRN 1034 immediate restoration work that we didn't get to, but it's just over $10.3 million. There is another submission still coming for, I believe, AGRN 987. It could be somewhere between 800,000 and 1.2 million. But if we're successful, it's probably the largest flood damage program we've ever seen. Mr. Mayor, I need some operations staff employees to fill, so I can fill my 5th grader group. If you know anybody who's good, we're looking for workers. And that's why some work has been diverted off to contract. We just know we've got a good amount, a lot of work to do.
Councillor Bosky.
Just in light of that, Gary, the contractors that you may or will engage, will they do flood work, or will they do maintenance work and council staff do the flood work?
No, the type of contract, most of that contract that will happen in the new year for plant hire and haulage will be, most of it will be for haulage to add with our truck and things like that. I think that there is a separate contract being organised for haulage for the Nevertire Bogan Road, but then after that it's haulage and plant hire. What I'm trying to do as much work with our equipment and day labour as possible. Nothing yet on setting up contract crews to be doing things as well. The type of contract work is, say, for the two bridges and its approaches, for Marthaguy Creek Bridge and New Park Bridge, is approaches and bridge are all together. If there's any savings, we hopefully do it by variation to extend as much as the approaches as possible. That's the type of contract work. And at the same time, we've got a $1.4 million heavy patching program that's been approved by that we will be doing on the state highway, and then another one of anywhere between 3 and 4 million for Millwall. We've got lots of work to do the next few years, and I want to try to do, and that's why, for example, we're keeping the 5th rubber tide roller, which will be the oldest rubber tide roller, but still in reasonable condition. When we get a new water cart, we'll be back to second hand plus a new water cart, probably a truck, to replace the rolled over one. We'll be back to 5 for a while.
Plenty of work in front of us, councillors, in terms of roads, significant amount.
Mr. Mayor, one of the problems is that when people say, for example, we're on the Corinda Road at the moment doing shoulders, that's actually funded by AGRN 960, and the floods damaged causeways is in that 10.3 million that we're waiting for approval. So when people say, why are you doing the shoulders and not fix up the causeways, it's because it's two complete different jobs, and we have to wait until it's approved. Now, sure, we're trying to make sure they're kept safe and things like that, but you will get some criticism that way, and we just can't help it because we're waiting for approval of works.
Previously, when will we know about the 10 million?
I hope within the next month or so. Mr. Mayor, that can't be guaranteed, but I hope, because it's a pretty big program. Transport for New South Wales will be going through it fine-tooth comb.
It's really work for new RTRs.
Rubber tide rollers, yes. Yes.
Very smart.
Very good. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the Manex meeting? Nothing further. Put that, all those in favour? Against, carried. Moving to the meeting of the Showground Racecourse Committee, held on the 28th November. Councillor Bruce, happy to move. Second. Councillor Brewer, Councillor Drews.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you can see, there's the recommendation about the proposed National Polocross titles at Warren. We had Phil Waterford in attendance and Simon Turnbull on the screen. They present what's involved with running a Polocross carnival, and what their wish list is, what they like done out there. If you went down to 5.3 further on, you'll see a fairly extensive list on what they're proposing, but they need to, so it was discussed, they need to get a core group together, which is a lot of the Turnbull family, so that they can do a business case study and find out how much it's going to cost for earthworks that they're proposing. And then once that, they do that, they're going to Chinchilla Nationals next year, so they'll find out a bit more about the running of everything then. And then once they come back to see us, there'll be another subcommittee formed with a lot of stakeholders, our committee and the council staff, to sit down and look at it all. So that's what we're doing at the moment. They've just got to go away and get a lot of information together. That's how we can't go any further until they've done that. going to. So in principle, we are supporting it. It would be a big thing for Warren, and I'm pretty sure that they will be supporting the businesses in Warren, clubs, services, for food. So it's a pretty big deal for Warren Shire. And they're getting the support from Western districts all across. It's not just the local or Combo branch. So that's where we're up to for that at the moment. And just going through our meeting, the toilets, they've been doing the epoxy, the new toilets, that should be finished this week. And then hopefully the other contractors will be going in to start putting urinals and the lining on the walls and whatever. But at this stage, fingers crossed that the ladies' toilet area will be ready for the twilight races. I think we've discussed earlier with cement job for accessing disabled access from the lower part of the Faulkner Lounge. There's a grant application gone in with Crown Infrastructure, Land Infrastructure Fund. So we'll be hearing something about that, hopefully positive for that. They're still working, the council's still working with the Jockey Club and Racing New South Wales on this perimeter fence, working out what type to use. Council feels that a cheaper version would be appropriate, but New South Wales Racing, theirs is pretty expensive, the type of fencing they want. The gator training by the user groups, they did one, and they were supposed to be having a second one. It didn't happen. There's only a couple of people in the horse groups that can use it at the moment, so they're hoping they will get a lot more people along to do the training for that. They're very happy with how it's working at the moment. There's going to be a container, it's going to be moved now, that will have the gate and everything in it, and that's going to be all electronically locked, and the user groups will have access to it as well. The PA system, that's been a problem for a long time. Town manager got a fellow that's contracted with New South Wales Racing from Kembla Grange. She came up and had a look at it. It's going to need new boxes and amplifiers, which a lot of them aren't that old. And the Wi-Fi PA system seems to be allowed, and then that will, then you won't have to do trenching and wiring underground for all that. And apparently during large camping events the water pressure gets very low out there, so it's proposed that we're going to put a 20,000 litre tank and a pump to be used for when there's big events. And it was lovely to hear Pony Club thank the Shire for the new toilet facility in their area, and the Jockey Club said they had a lot of positive comments about the Faulkner Lounge with that wonderful air conditioner considering it was very hot outside. It was quite crowded in there. So, ask maybe Councillor Whiteley, have you got any comments on that?
No more comments.
I think we'll just direct questions through the chair. Thank you. Yep.
Sorry.
Great way to do it. Yeah, I think it'd be appropriate because that's a reasonable issue at times. I'm just going to ask the town service manager or the acting division manager of engineering services just for a comment on the PA system as we find it as of a couple of days ago.
So through Mr. Chair, as Councillor Drews mentioned, I got onto a gentleman from Kembla Grange who does all of the PA systems for New South Wales racing, country racing. He came out, had a look at our system, identified some significant issues with the amplifiers. the amplifiers, when the company or the style that we bought, launched to a big fanfare, and within 12 months had disappeared completely because they were so poor. Unfortunately, we bought two. We seem to think that the only reason that they haven't failed at the moment completely is because they're not used consistently or constantly on a day-to-day basis. So if you put together a list of items that needed to be fixed up, many of them, when you sit and think about them, make a lot of sense. His first comment when he started looking at the speaker system was, why have we got black speakers out here? Obviously black attracts the heat, the speakers get hot, and they fail. So all of the black speakers will be replaced with newer versions that aren't dark coloured. The wiring system was, for all the speaker system, he tested and was all suitable. We'll install some wireless directional systems for use out on the camp draft and the polo crossfield, and some external aerials for the radio microphones. So that should improve all of those issues. He gave me a full list of it all. From memory, it was within under $50,000 for the whole thing. We are working through that process of fixing up bits and pieces. The amplifiers will be the last thing that I replace because they're currently working. We'll cross our fingers that all remains functioning for the short time, and we'll get as many of the speakers and other bits and pieces done as we can within recurrent budget.
Just my immediate question though is in regard to pilot race meeting, and probably the two questions there are we likely to be functional in terms of PA for the twilight race meeting? The second one is women's toilet facilities, how are we progressing? If you could just answer those two questions.
So Mr. Mayor, we had staff out yesterday checking all the PA system throughout the site. There are a couple of speakers under the undercover bar that are not working, but in general, everything is functioning. All of the internal speakers of the lounge are operational, and so that's fine. As Councillor Druce mentioned, the epoxy flooring started this week. It will be finished by Friday, and then come Monday, the local contractors will be fitting the stalls and the pans, etc. Concentrating on the ladies' toilet to get that finished so that it's available for the twilight, and as much after that as can be done to make it all available as well. But the focus definitely in the early part of next week is to get the ladies' component functioning.
Councillor Mikulski.
Previous Mayor. Playing the devil's advocate, the ladies' toilets aren't finished, plan B.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
As we did for the last race meeting, we'll put the portable toilets out there to facilitate it. And the upstairs in the Faulkner Lounge are still, we still have facilities up there that are in top shape.
Mayor, I just made a correction on the recommendation. It wasn't town mayor, it was town services manager. If it said the board mayor, it'd be okay.
No. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Goose, for that enlightenment of the minutes of the Showgate Racecourse Committee meeting. Councillor Walker.
Thanks. Now, it's just point to ask Councillor Druce about 6.2, the story behind that one with the red coloured one.
Yes, I'd like to defer that to General Manager, please.
Just to comment that someone unbeknownst just rang the council and said, we'd like to hire a facility, and said, well, the daily rate for a state championships is so and so, and then just said, oh, that's the, and went away thinking that was dear, and if I actually kind of queried a bit further, it probably could have been a smaller event and slightly cheaper, and but people need to actually ask the right questions on what they're really having and how big it's going to be, and you can work it out. But they went elsewhere.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the Showground Racecourse Committee? Sorry, Councillor.
Laura, what's general business harvesting of Queensland bluegrass? What's that?
Exactly what it is. Someone wants to, has asked for permission to harvest the seeds of the Queensland bluegrass that's on both sides as the main entrance in off the old Warren Road. It's an area of good condition. It's not, I'll call it dirty, meaning it's not weeds through it. And they just want to trial something to get the seeds of the bluegrass, and we've got no problem. We're in between because if it rains ever so often, because we have to kind of not cut it again. Yeah. And I think the man has a proper small harvesting machine or something like that. We've got no problem.
Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the meeting of the Showground Racecourse Committee? Nothing further. Put that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to reports of delegates. The first of those being the meeting of the Wollongong Graders Support Services. Councillor Derrick, you're happy to move. Second. Councillor Walker. Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Walker, for taking the minutes of that meeting. So there has actually been another meeting held, which was just last week, on Thursday, 30th of November. So the minutes of that meeting will go to January council meeting. I guess the thing to say about interagency is that it brings together a different mix of attendees that attend every meeting, which is actually quite valuable. I think there's always a lot of good information sharing, and attendees have commented that they feel that it's a worthwhile meeting. So yeah, I think there's a number of notes there with reports from agencies, and as I said, a lot of good information is put forward at these meetings and shared to the wider interagency group, which I think there's still around 150 email addresses on the list, but notwithstanding not that many people are able to attend or provide information, that information still, the information that we have is still being shared quite widely, particularly with regard to the services that are currently available and services that are needed, as well as events and community initiatives that everyone wants to know about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Derrick. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just noted the item. There was a discussion about the need for social housing. A lot of available houses are not to standard, so long as the houses are require maintenance. I've received feedback myself, and I hear a lot about the condition of the houses and just the appearance of those houses, and that is there any action or intention of action by the responsible agencies of these various houses to do anything about that?
I guess from that meeting there was also discussion about the problem, and certainly Mission Australia, Bernardo's, other service providers are working together to put forward what they need. Yes, we have offered levels of support or anything that's required from the agency or council, but yes, I guess there's no real solution, but certainly organisations are working together. So thank you.
So they're probably more particular rather than one issue is the provision of more social housing as these agencies see the need, they have clients who need it. We'll talk about the condition and the appearance of the current housing that we have as an eyesore. Who is responsible and who could, do they talk about that aspect, or do they only just talk about the need for more housing? Not about how they look after the housing that we currently have.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. We did not speak particularly about the appearance of the houses, but yeah, certainly the need and the clients that these organisations work with. So, and I think there is a lot of different owners of onto premises as well, so. Thank you.
I might just check with the Major Development, might be able to just enlighten us on exactly who is responsible for, there'll be a couple of groups, I think, is Major
Yes.
Development.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council does, send out notices and orders for overgrown blocks. So we don't really, actively, enforce, the condition of the houses. We have issues trying to get the yards cleaned up for vermin control and bushfire safety and things like that. So it can be quite challenging. So yeah, but we do notices and orders for overgrown blocks, yeah.
Thank you. That's Councillor Jackson probably doesn't really answer your question about who actually owns and is responsible, but I think it's maybe something to be raised at the next interagency committee meeting and go from there.
It's true, Mr. Campus, but yes, we are aware that there are a number of different owners, and that's part of the problem. So yes, those agencies or those organisations that are working with clients locally are certainly making their needs known and liaising with the owners of the properties with the different government departments and with the social housing providers. Thank you.
Housing Plus some time ago had a proposal to take over somewhere between 1,500 and 1,700 homes that were mostly, I'll call it Department of Housing homes, not Aboriginal Lands Council houses. And I think the current minister has actually asked them to provide proof of evidence of boarded up homes, facilities, and I think you passed ours that renew the Department of Housing properties to Housing Plus to show to the minister what is going on out in the West. And interagency, perfect group to put some pressure on, tidy up everyone's houses.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the meeting of the Warren Interagency Support Service? Nothing further, put back. All those in favour, against, carried. Item 2, reports of delegate. That being the ordinary meeting of the Castlereagh Macquarie County Council. Councillor Whiteley, you happy to move? Second,
Mr. Mayor.
Second, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Whiteley.
I'm reporting on the minutes of the Macquarie County Council a month or so ago, but I'll also briefly comment on one that was held on Monday, this last Monday. The October one was a 2-day affair. We went for a tour of the northern part of the county council, looking at weeds and controls and what the county council's been doing up there as far as a number of weeds, and then had our meeting in Coonabarabran on the Monday morning. This involved our annual election of a chair, and Councillor Batten, the Mayor of Gilgandra Shire, was re-elected as the Mayor. And because of the reporting requirements and the audit report of the County Council, we put forward the meeting to this week, the second meeting, which I can comment that both our auditor, who was online to talk to us, and the financial report and the operational reports were tabled, and as soon as we get the minutes for those, we'll get Jody to get them to you. But I commend you the way that the county council is running. The audit was appreciative of the way we've structured the county council, and our annual report will be about for your perusal at a later date.
Thank you, councillor Whiteley.
Oh, apologies, Mr Mayor. The next meeting of the county council will be the February meeting, and it is here in Warren, in this building, and later that day, the county council's switching focus slightly to African boxthorn, and unfortunately Warren seems to be the capital of Australia for African boxthorn, and there'll be a field day and information session after the meeting for local contractors and local landholders. We'll see the advertising for that. The principle being that whilst African boxthorn's non-native and it is targeted, it is very hard to prosecute because it's not it's not to the level of say a Parthenian weed, and the softly approach and education approach the council seems to think will work better than arriving with a big stick.
That's the 23rd of February, isn't it? Friday the 23rd?
No, it's Monday. Sorry, Mr. General Manager.
Monday the 26th.
Monday the 26th of February. It's usually at 10:30 for 11 start. The meeting usually takes an hour. I've taken the liberty to book this room with Joe.
No. Councillor Walker.
I was just wondering why I'm just asking if you know, there's two signs on the truck stop class going out along, out towards Guggenheim with the truck stop, by road turn off. There's two signs with Melissa cactus attached to halfway the truck stop. There's a dead tree, and then as you're going out to turn onto the Marthby Road, there's another one on the. Do you know anything about that?
The weed you're talking about is predominantly or nearly 100% in the north of the county council, west of the Lightning Ridge Walgett Road. It's where the bushfire that was badly impacted up there. It is a horrific weed and can be transported on tyres, even clothing, and that's the reason for that signing. The risk is the transport. The risk is the movement. Where that weed is taken over is completely unstoppable or used by anything, and so the state government has, with the county council and drawn with the LLS, committed quite a bit of money for a biosecurity attack and a physical spray attack.
So that's through Ms. Mayor, with those signs, who's put them up then?
I presume our biosecurity officer about this, he put them up.
And also, I'm thinking at the next meeting, if it's an issue, maybe it should be brought up at that meeting and some information put out there for the community.
Yeah, let's have questions through the mayor, please. And this discussion is probably something that can be held at a later time in terms of.
I'm just wondering who put the signs there and what it was all about. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think we've covered that, and that's probably where we need to be. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the ordinary meeting with the Castlereagh and Macquarie County Council? Thank you. With that, all those in favour? Yes, carried. Move the meeting of the Outback Arts Incorporated. Hold on, the 13th November. Councillor Jackson's happy to move that. Second. Councillor Derrick, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a brief update. Major project that Outback Arts are doing is they've purchased the Plaza Theatre in Canberra to prevent it from being turned into, left in disrepair or turned into a shop. There's a lot of support in the community for it to be used as performing arts space. And that can be used by all the shires and the surrounding areas as well. It will be a great regional asset. They're funding that through money they already have. And you can, if you look at the 2023 draft summary report, number of projects, high level, that will involve Warren. They're looking at funding for very successful Outback Fashion Month. They want to have funding to be Burke, Cobar, Mingan and Warren this time around in 2024. So it was a very successful program. So that's nice to be included in that. And in regards to the general meeting, there was an opportunity for representatives from each of the shires to just update their peers on what was happening in their particular shires. And I did talk about, we have, in context of what they do at Outback Arts, our sports facilities, our road repairs, our First Nations art project will be on the change room at Victoria Park, the change of music festivals, how council's looking at grant funding for street buildings. Sorry, the minutes are a little bit garbled because the person took the minutes just probably couldn't keep up with the discussions. Talked about our library, talked about our youth centre, talked about the choir, talked about Judy Fleming and her peers, Mary Small, and I position at council as very supportive of all these various arts projects and our desire to build our shire as a destination, with our destination of Crow Marshes and to partner with other shires. So that drew, there are other shire representatives who are very interested to hear that and looking forward to working more closely and more collaboratively in these sorts of areas. So I thought that was pretty successful. And there was one thing that did come out, is that there's a new, what do you call it, music officer, if you like, in the regional arts space. And what they're doing is they're making available funding for live music. So they want to prioritise that. And so I'm not sure if this has already happened, but Jamie Lee Trimble, the Executive Director, intends to connect the council, Gary, I would suggest, regarding what it is that council needs or wants in a performing arts and live music space, to look at councils putting forward expressions of interest, to put forward their own events, either as a council or in partnership with other organisations, for example, Warrington Music Festival is one such organisation. So that's good news for us in terms of being a destination and drawing people to our town for events.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson, just for reference, and I don't know whether you can disclose this or not, whether it's in a public document, how much was paid for that plaza?
In the order of a couple of 100,000, but I can't tell you exactly on what
Yeah,
it paid. But in the order of that, my understanding, Mr Mayor, is that the owners of the building, the former owners of the building, were accepting expressions of interest on the basis of their desire to see the theatre continue on as a theatre. Okay. And so there's potentially some, some weighting put on that when it's deciding who they were sort of going to.
I'm just, in my mind, just trying to get reference, potential building maybe for sale in terms of our town improvement committee.
There will be.
That's all I need to know.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I'm sure Jamie Lee will be more than happy to provide that level of information to our council.
Thank you. Any further comment? Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Any further comments, questions regarding the minutes of the Outback Arts Committee meeting? Nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. The minutes of the meeting, the annual general meeting of the Country Mayors Association. We were, yeah, despite what it might say, it's a bit like Councillor McCloskey, we were there at the.
We did fill in
The
the form.
attention form, yeah. I'm happy to move that from the chair. Someone happy to second? Thank you, Councillor Brewer. This organisation continues to grow in stature in terms of its importance, referenced by the fact that the Premier attended the meeting and was happy to give an address. It's well regarded. And it's valuable that we continue to be part of that organisation. I believe they really act on our behalf. We'll have a discussion later regarding the local government New South Wales meeting, and I think this organisation in many ways holds more relevance for us than does local government New South Wales. But good quality speakers there. And it gives us the opportunity, the general manager and I took the opportunity to be able to then meet with the water minister post this meeting. So, yeah, we said the Premier, we've invited him to come out to Warren at some stage. He has given an undertaking to visit most, he says that he visits a lot of regional places in the sitting weeks that Parliament is, in the weeks that Parliament is not sitting. So we've extended the invitation for him to come to Warren, and we'll see how we go with that, but it'll be very welcome. Look, a lot of good discussion, but I think just being part of the organisation is the important thing. John Anthony, you got anything else you want to add there? All the information's there, councillors.
Rose Jackson really chiefly talked about housing. Shadow Treasurer, Shadow Minister for Industrial Relations, and Farrell now. Steph Cook is just trying to make sure the Minister for Water dots right and positive T's. Be ready for me.
That's all good. We get the opportunity to talk to the people services as well as leader of the Nationals. Steph Cook is the Shadow Water Minister. You know, she can keep progressing and understanding where we sit, particularly with the Barrendong situation. It just keeps stuff on the agenda. So, yeah, valuable thing to spend our time going to. Yeah, happy to accept some questions if anyone has anything regarding the Country Mayors Association meeting and the annual general meeting. Jamie Chappie was re-elected as the chair of that committee, and I think each time there's been a new chair, that organisation has advanced. It really has a year of government. He spends a lot of time on our behalf advocating for rural and regional New South Wales. Any questions, comments? And I'm happy to put that. Thank you further. Put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried. Reports to Council, item 9 on our agenda. There are no policy reports. We do move on to the outstanding reports checklist that is of the General Manager, for the reports of the General Manager. The first of those have been the outstanding reports checklist. Someone happy to move that, and the mover happy with a couple of minor adjustments with some.
A couple of them we're not going to remove.
Not going to remove. So we might just go through them. If you remember, I just need to move in a second to first. Councillor McCloskey, then Councillor Whiteley.
On page 3, public art one, the top one, I'm not going to remove until it's completely organised. And then on to the bottom page, almost the bottom of page 9. Same thing with the amenities, the toilet block, the second last one.
Remember in a second, happy with that, those amendments?
I did.
That was something you were going to raise, Councillor McCloskey, yeah? Any, Councillor McCloskey,
Sure, page 2, with regards to the Carter Oval amenities block. Landmark promised the floor slab draft complete by end of November.
Done 4 AM Sunday, Monday morning. So I believe, the infrastructure project manager will be there, saying at 8. Probably find, I haven't asked, but I'm guessing that, the lights will be turned on for them. It remains the same heat, it's a good idea at 4 AM.
So to that end, the electrics and the plumbing underneath us are ready to go. He's happy with that. They'll come up with infrastructure projects anyway, so I'm not really jumping ahead.
Just to, Mr Mayor, quickly go through, so on page 1, the Lions Park toilet amenity, murals is gone, same with the Dubbo Street one. Then on page 5, you've got the bottom one. And that's, just getting moved. Top of page 6, the whole of page 6. Then on page 7, you've got Service New South Wales one done, Senator Recorder Review done. Onto the bottom of page 8, you've got the river pump, Salinger and Oxley. You've not quite finished some concreting, or is it done?
So you Chair, that work's been done. That's to lock in the casings into the structure. So from the original scope of works, it's finished.
Page 10, you've got Anne Foster. Anne Foster, final stuff is organised. Whatever happens today becomes the next resolution. Phil Waterford was organised for the Australian Racecourse Committee presentation, and the cost estimate, etc., has been noted. That information and will be organised very soon with the grant application just about put in. There's a few little asterisks on top of page 11. Some of that, same as the CBD upgrading stuff. Number 3 is removed on page 11.
That's it, actually. Right, so bottom page.
Oh yeah, page 13.
So move and second, happy with all of that. Any further questions, comments regarding the outstanding reports checklist? Item 1 of the General Manager's report. Nothing further, put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Item 2, as is always the case, in recognition of Warren being a healthy town and to keep awareness of the healthy lifestyle, Council will be standing while doing with item 2 of the General Manager's report and the committee delegates meetings. Someone happy to move that double page list? Thank you, Councillor Drews, happy to move. Second, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Drews.
No comment, just happy to move that thing.
You're just adding that one about the Council of Macquarie County Council. Just added in one.
It'll be put on the schedule.
Yeah.
On the second page is the schedule. So that's why if it's not listed and it's on the schedule, it's on the schedule.
Done. Yeah. Anything further on item 2 of the General Manager report? Committee and delegates meeting? Nothing further. We'll put that, all those in favour? Against, carried. Thank you. Item 3, the report from the General Manager. First, the next one being the works progress report, infrastructure projects. We'll move on to second there. The information to be received and noted. Councillor Whiteley is happy to move. Second, Councillor Walker. Councillor Whiteley.
Commend the council and ask the General Manager for comments.
A lot of asterisks are just trying to tidy up things to reduce the reporting. It helps the senior management team and the council too to be watching our budgets trying to stay within budgets is really important. A few projects will click over. I think by June we'll have a really, we will have, hopefully March, even before that, Carter Oval New Sports Precinct. Showdown Racecourse, well and truly complete. It'll be a good new year.
Just for council attention, on page 24, where it says update and renovate male and female amenities in the cattlemen's and horse sports camping area, that has actually been completed. It's just that the allocation of funds is moving around. So, yeah, when you read that, don't think that that's... Page 24.
Sorry, 24.
On 24 on this one, I don't know what it is on.
So, for example, on the bottom of page 24, it says update and renovate male and female amenities, cattlemen's sports. That money that's left over is really relating to part of the $390,000 to $410,000 for the toilet block. That's everything. Just so you know.
It's a little bit, that was really a lump sum project. It gets a little bit convoluted in where money's gone and coming to, etc. So, but just that project's been kicked off. So, and another infrastructure project matters that you want to draw our attention to, General Manager?
Hopefully, before Christmas, Monkey Gar Creek Road platform should be finished. So I think it's 31st of December that I'm hoping to be contracted. The toilet's finished, but hopefully I don't expect them to be working between Christmas and the 31st, so the cross fingers that it's actually finished before Christmas. That's on page 29. We are still waiting for an approved program for the $887,500 from the OLG on page 32. That's not stopping us to keep spending the $5.325 million from the Commonwealth and $887,500 from another government department. We're just waiting for OLG to finalise the work stream. The other part of that $1 million is $112,500 for Macquarie Park softball. He got a tick.
Yes,
That's correct. Yeah. That's the bottom of page 32.
So just going back, in terms of levy restoration, where are we up to in terms of the planning stage?
To the stage of almost final draft of the specification by our consultant, and in the new year when the Division Manager Engineering Services comes back, a tender will be put out for that work. Also, the Town Services Manager, you can talk about your levy pump and approvals.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm still working on finalising the document to go out to tender for the supply and installation of the new gates for all of the flood pits. And that's one part of the $2 million project, and then finalising the 6 permanently mounted pumping units that will be around the area as well. So just need to be staged to work so that we don't overspend. I'll get all the penstocks, floodgates replaced, and then we'll know exactly how much we've got left to spend as far as additional pumps and other safety bits and pieces for the repairs. Changing the lids on the pits to something that's not quite as heavy. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Councillor Whiteley.
Just one question. The planning of the reconstruction of the levee, will that involve a major upsetting of Dubbo Street? The mechanics of how that's going to be done, is that been looked at?
So think of the Lions Park treatment, which which most probably was large H beams or I beams driven in with concrete slightly out into the river for a nice perfect slope down. Same thing will happen along behind the dentist, right along to Lawson Street, slightly almost past Lawson Street it goes. So then a concrete wall is put very much like what's in the bottom of Lions Park, and then around a metre thick of minus 600 mil rock up to the top, with at least 2.5 metres of drivable surface. We think at least 2.5 on top. And that fixes that treatment up. And I think it is more than 180 metres. It might even be long, might be almost over 200 metres long. That's very similar treatment to Lions Park. A small chance that some rock may come in between Endeavour Hall and the community transport facility, but a lot of rock and earthworks will happen from the sides, Lions Park and not quite House Street. Same thing at the end of Lawson Street as well. Last time they actually did a lot of the I'll call it pile driving by barges.
So the concrete prefab or concrete on site?
They actually prefab them here. It's up to the contractor what they have to do for the slabs that are either 4 metres deep by either 1.8 metres long, and it's how memory does fail you. I actually thought they actually purposely put them down. Think of the I-beams, put them down, and actually put them behind the I-beams. And actually what we think 4 metres or so wide, and so the I-beam was actually just behind the I-beams. And not in the I-beams, yeah. Interesting stuff, just making sure Barnson's doing our specs. We'll be using our minus 600 millimetre rock. Some of our very, very large 20 millimetre, we'll call it ceiling aggregate, as stuff behind those to allow some easy seepage to and from, and not causing a problem against the wall. Then we have other locations that we're just really putting rock in to protect the bank elsewhere along the river.
The remedial stuff that we did, chipping that rock over, that is not creating a problem?
We will see. That's why the I-beams in that location for about 6 or 7 metres will be problematic. They'll have to have fun dislodging rock under the water to get them in, but hopefully only for about 6 or 7 metres.
Thank you for that. You'd never understand that our general manager was the proponent of the levy, which is, you never guess. Councillor McGlasky, yes, sir.
At the water? Excuse me, gentlemen. You wish to say something?
Oh, I was just lightly, seeing the general manager's got experience on this matter. We won't have matters arising later in the future. What Councillor Brewer brought up early. Absolutely not.
And can I say that I knew what needed to happen to make sure it was as cheap as possible?
Excellent.
Because it was actually a very good solution by Backhouse Civil at the time. Yeah.
Councillor McGlasky.
Just 3 minutes. Just with regards to the Carter Oval precinct, it says here the concrete parts they're finished, are they down?
Near finished, not all of them. there's a few holes. Holes.
Yeah, I just reckon I seen a bobcat running around there the other day digging and scratching like a rabbit. So,
Don't know whether that was us or them.
yeah.
We're doing things too.
And also, on the top of page 18, with regards to the airport, we've still got the procurement of a diesel pump for the discharge of the water off 0321, where it's now going to be gravity.
No, it's the summary of it, and a bit further on,
Can that not
would
be
you like me to
taken?
do an asterisk on that?
I'm going to say, can that not be asterisk?
You're not using that yet.
So that's what I was saying, look, these options are deleted. So it's really telling you what, I understand, I'll organise it.
So the mover in the second, happy with that, it's Councillor White and Councillor Hall. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding item 3, the General Manager's report, being the first progress report, infrastructure projects? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour, against, carried. Item 4, reports to the General Manager, the delivery program progress report. Looking someone to move that. Councillor Derrick, did you move? Councillor Whiteley's moved it, and Councillor Derrick second. Councillor Whiteley.
Yeah, I commend the report and, ask the General Manager to keep going.
Just real quick one. Some grants have to be there, we can't do everything within our resources. And as an organisation, we're still trying to learn how to be focused on our community strategic plan 2035 and the delivery program. Not just the budgets and the projects, but the words within. I'm very pleased that a lot of economic development strategy work will start to progress with that economic development and visitation office. I commend the report. Yeah, we try to be as fair as possible, showing some things are on target and some things aren't.
Any further comments, questions regarding the on board the delivery program progress report? No, the red ones there. We will continue to address them, but as the gentleman said, there's so much happening in terms of getting stuff done on the ground that sometimes some of these other things aren't quite as top of the list as they might otherwise be. Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 5, reports to the General Manager. It's been the annual report 22-23. I'm happy to move the annual report. Councillor Jackson, you're happy to move. Second. Councillor Brewer. Councillor Jackson.
Previously, I have no particular questions, and I support the recommendation of Council note this annual report for 2022-23, and that the General Manager and any of his team who need to make a comment should do so.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The document that was sent out, on page 90, there was one contract too many in there. We're trying to fix that up, that's all. Just so you know, there was one that was actually accepted by Council Winning 23-24 that was accidentally in there. That's all. I purposely left in there to see whether people were checking. But we try. Look, the divisional, the executive assistant does a good job. A lot of councils spend $40,000 or $50,000 doing things like this, and I reckon ours is just as good as theirs, and it's more applicable to our community, and it's just costs time.
He handles for our little bits of input, but it's no fault of the executive assistants. It's our problem trying to get things done. Thank you for that, though. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the annual report, 22-23? Nothing further, we'll put that all out of favour, against, carried. Item 6, being the Western Division Council Conference and Midterm Meetings, just seeking approval that we attend that.
It's to set up for the future, Mr. Mayor, because they actually do have a midterm meeting as well as the conference, which we may attend.
I'll start from mover in a second, but sorry, it was in order. Thank you, Councillor Brewer moves, second Councillor Drews. Councillor Brewer, any,
Just happy to move the recommendation. I think it's fairly essential that we stay in touch with our neighbouring councils in particular, but other Western councils.
yeah. As an aside, they're very supportive that we come as an invited guest to their meetings, and Councillor Derrick's attended a couple of those. Yeah, and they do often have a speaker who's very worthwhile, or a couple of speakers, a couple of ministers, really, is what I'm saying. And in a limited, with limited numbers of people there, you actually get access to actually spend your time. So, yeah, had a comment.
There's a chance, timing wise, the next midterm meeting will be even more valuable. That's why we really want everyone to let us go to talk to people.
Any further comments, questions regarding item 6, the report from the general manager regarding the Western Division of Council's meeting? No, nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour, it's carried. Item 7, the Local Roads Community Infrastructure Phase 4B and the CAP 070 Community Assets Program and Site Roads Gravel Reseeding Program and the LED Lights Victoria other. That convoluted list of programs that we can try and get the best out of the money that's available is probably the upshot of all this. I'm looking for a mover in a second, and then I'm going to ask for the General Manager to just go through the steps so that we all understand how this is occurring and what the end result is. And Councillor Brewer is happy to move, Councillor McCloskey is the second. Councillor Brewer.
Just happy to move the recommendation. There's a lot of information in there pertaining to that. Looks a bit like an omnibus type of a bill, but yeah, I like what's in there. There are some upgrades required. I would ask, we've approached the rugby club, have we, for contribution there?
No, agree. No, agree.
Wonderful. That's all from
So, all positive, because we were going to go and do the bitumen retailing of our Warren walkways and cycleways under the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program. We're moving that money because we received a CAP Community Assets Program to cover the same job. We can't resell it twice. Using that money, then we and the Commonwealth Department that's responsible for it has agreed that thinks it's a good idea for the $170,000 and $100 of gravel resheeting on Bummadale Road. Sorry for the pronunciation. That then frees up $170,100 to use towards the LED lighting at Victoria Park, but we need $83,400 of our own money to make it a complete project. The Warren Pumas have agreed to the 10,000, so that really hopefully reduces the amount of infrastructure money from our own funds that we use, and hence the recommendations.
Councillor White.
Question for you, Mr. Mayor, just to the acting divisional manager. We done any good at selling our bulb?
Really, Mr. Mayor, the lights, no, unfortunately not. The original supplier, once he sold them to us, he then had to put in an order because we took all that he had. He ordered several hundred and doesn't have a need for another 53 back again.
We will try to find the world to get rid of them.
Yeah, correct. But we don't need to jump the gun because those lights seem to be failing much more quickly than they did when those lights were originally placed, and so we will, unless we really move on this extremely fast, we'll be replacing, we'll be using quite a few of them before the, any LED lights are in place. Yeah, so that, I wouldn't be concerned about that.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, I think we have an opportunity to, I think some of the lights out at the showground, like in the polo across Kentcraft area, may be the same fitting, so, you know, whilst we won't utilise them quickly on that particular area, we're going to have plenty of spares.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's a good outcome, councillors. I mean, we're getting to the stage where we were desperate to actually source those lights for the Victoria. Now that we've sourced 53, of course, we get a possibility of upgrading. The plan was always to go to LED. More recently, over in Victoria, and I think it's this convoluted way of getting there, with minimum cost to council is a pretty good result. Councillor McCloskey.
Through you, Glenn, in light of the new lighting at Victoria, time frame, you know, we looking
It
at?
might be quicker than the mayor would like.
No, I'm happy to be as advice.
I understand. Look, because it'll probably be by a variation of the existing contract, and then that firm, because we've actually gone and made sure that we've actually got more than budget prices from elsewhere, and our existing contractor who's been doing lighting is very competitive, and it depends on their availability and the light's availability.
Councillor Whiteley.
Just one small comment to keep in mind that the usage, the period of non-usage during the winter would be harder to manage than later on in the year. Presuming that for some time the facility would, whilst the transfer is taking place, that they won't be able to be used.
Mr. Mayor, I think in consultation with our contractor, we would try to stage the lighting so that they'll only working on maybe one pole at a time with the removal and then replacement, and then move on to the second and work around. So there may be a small window where they don't have the same quality of lighting at the moment, but I wouldn't think that we would have any large time frame where there'd be no lighting.
From that point of view, I think it'd be appropriate when there's a rugby union draw out to get it to you, because there will be a couple of night games when we'll get that sorted. I don't know whether it would be a similar thing for the Macquarie Emus. They would have some of those Friday night gala games as well, so we just need to get that program to you so that there's not a great conflict there. Sorry, Councillor.
Just in light of that and the potential need for lights come the football season, wouldn't it be prudent to try and do something before then and have it done for them?
No, we were hoping February. Same with the.
So you don't have so much of an issue of the needs for lights come the footy year season?
Same with the mobile scoreboards and the new scoreboards.
I don't know what the cricketers' needs are at the moment.
They're the
What's
ones
the way to manage? Yeah, so I think, well, as long as there's an awareness of the needs of the user groups, I think the divisional manager of engineering services, the account services manager, he'll be running it like this one. We'll just get it sorted with minimum inconvenience. I think that's the plan. Yeah. Any further comments, questions regarding item 7, the report to the general manager? Nothing further, we'll put that all over in favour. Yes, carried. Item 8, the Regional Drought Resilience Program. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Whiteley, have you moved? Second, Councillor Derrick, Councillor Whiteley.
For the information of council, the federal government combined with the state government are trying to do revamp drought resilience policy. And to do that, they've broken the state up into certain groups and roughly aligned them on LGA areas or groups of LGA areas, and some are further progressed than others. Our LGA area includes ourselves, Nyngan, Canamble. As well as that, there's LGA areas of Burke, Brewarrina and Cobar. And the planning at this stage is to combine those two groups individually, the two different LGA areas in groups. And during January, February and the early part of March, there'll be some focus meetings with organised through the chairman of the group is ex-Burke General Manager Ross Earl, and the executive officer is Belinda Collis from Brewarrina. Gary and I interviewed and had a meeting with Belinda by Skype yesterday. The Mayor, the Premier and the Minister for Agriculture, I think, will be in Burke to publicly announce this next week, on the 12th, I understand. The good thing about this and the press release that will come out from Councillor Holman of Berkshire is it looks like the feds in the state have come to look at a ground up where we should go with resilience to drought, and both from farm gate inside and farm gate outside, the effect of community, what drought has on communities, and how federal government funding and state government funding can alleviate drought, to businesses, to housing. And at this stage, the positive to me is that government departments have come to local LGAs and groups to give them ideas or put up ideas to them. Obviously, there's a bureaucracy around it, which some cases might be hard to get fathomed through. But yeah, I commend our support to the process, and just watch this space. If the General Manager's got any other comment, I'll ask him.
What will be very helpful is our own focus group that we will set up, as well as all the advertising that will eventually happen in the new year to obtain comment. Some meetings, public meetings, but that focus group will be very important for Warren Shire as part of the process of the 3 shires. We needed to make sure that there's at least 2 of us trying to represent Warren Shire Council with some help from the Economic Development and Visitation Manager. And it looks as a process that's already in train. You would have started to see the advertising that Gilgandra and Warren Bungles are doing for theirs. That's one consortium, a separate consortium, the other 2 are this way. It was easier just to engage Far North West joint organisation, and I was very much reassured by the conversation. We had an hour-and-a-half conversation yesterday with Belinda Collis, and she will have some very good trendy ideas that will be ground up and not top down stuff.
My final comment is that we're very lucky. We have a lot of very intelligent, high expertise, middle-aged community members, both male, female, retail, And that's where, we had discussions of where we'll go with this focus group, in late January and February. Not to just put the flag out there and everybody come and have a win session. We'll challenge our focus group to think outside the square and come up with ideas that we can put to government.
We need to keep pushing the same agenda, so government hears the same thing again and again and again from different organisations, so, yeah. I think there's a place at the higher level that we were talking about earlier, that Councillor Whiteley, the going on to 120% capacity is something that this committee would make a big difference, and to the, yeah, upstream of us and downstream of us, so.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'm not quite sure whether Mr. Earl will be at your meetings tomorrow, but yeah, it's imperative that we keep it simple and keep it straight. And
absolutely. Thank you for that. I think it's, I'm pleased that we're part of it, and I'm pleased that we'll have a focus group that the quality of the people I know in this community who can make some really significant, sensible decisions and have some input into a plan. That's a great result. Thank you, Councillor Whiteley, for agreeing to be our delegate to that. Any further comments, questions on item 8? Nothing further, put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Moving on to item 9, the local government New South Wales Annual Conference Attendance Report. Councillor Whiteley, are you happy to move that?
Happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Second, Councillor Derrick, that would be good. Councillor Whiteley and Councillor Derrick, you might want to have a comment as well. Councillor Whiteley.
For those that haven't had the privilege of going to a local government conference, it's an interesting affair. Basically, democracy is necessary, and everybody needs to have their say. My only comment to the council: you need to be there. The networking and stuff you can do around the meeting, it's really important. I would encourage the Mayor and the General Manager to write to the Chairman of Local Government New South Wales to probably vet the order of motions a little. Some motions, there was 100 and X motions. We didn't get through 3/4 of them in the time frame. Some of the ones that were under debate, I don't think were relative to local government at all, but they still had to be debated because they were put up there. I think some of the motion, the order of some of the motions are more relevant to local government than, shall I diplomatically say, other social problems. We are very lucky in the Western New South Wales councils that political influence doesn't involve us as much as some of our city cousins, but my only comment is that if we could recommend that the immediate problems or motions that affect local government be higher in the order of the agenda.
I'll ask for Councillor Derrick to make a comment and then.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I totally agree with Councillor Whiteley's summary there, and I think it's always vastly obvious the divide and the different interests between country and city, particularly when it comes to motions, and interesting to see what various specific councils in particular get what I'm recall about, that doesn't really bear any, if at all, relevance to smaller or regional councils. But thank you very much to General Manager for providing such a comprehensive summary. It was a big couple of days, and I just say, aside from the conference and the motions, there were a number of very good presentations. And I see you've mentioned there that might possibly sort of unfold with some information from those presentations, which would be worthwhile. So that was sort of valuable, the presentations and the panel discussions that were held, as well as the opportunity for networking amongst our peers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
The couple of points I would make. The first one, the networking type thing is important. We did have the opportunity to reacquaint ourselves with the Minister for Local Government again while we had 15, 20 minutes with him again, and just that he knows where Warren is, he understands our things. So when we go to him in the future with probably something help us or whatever, he'll be cognizant of who we are. So that's important. I took the opportunity to Shanghai the Water Minister, Rose Jackson, so that we could confirm that we had our meeting at the country mayor's, after the country mayor's meeting. Just to be there and be actually able to do that physically rather than trying to get a trail of emails to get those sort of meetings is important. The other point I would make is the relevance of some of the motions to rural and regional councils. But even break down a bit further, after we sat with Strathfield at the dinner, their concerns were almost the same as ours, in that they see it as very much the inner city councils having a very different agenda to even them. And so, and a lot of the social justice issues being their top of the list sort of priorities, whereas I would contend, and they would contend, that that's not their major priority in local government. And so I think we will need to make some sort of submission, and that is an agenda item for tomorrow's Alliance of Western Councils meeting, because everyone that I've spoken to, and I guess Councillor Derrick and Councillor White may have spoken to, would have a very similar view to us, in that we just question the order in which things are being done, and then the relative importance of things, the motions that are put is an issue. And what it comes to, I guess, is that it amplifies the importance of country mayors, really, for us, and the Western Division meeting and the Alliance of Western Councils. Those are the ones where we get some traction and speak with one voice. We have to support our peak body, 128 councils. If you don't support them, you shouldn't whinge and complain, but there are a number of councils questioning whether they should attend and why they should attend the local government conference. So we'll wait and see, but I think it could be done a whole lot better. That's what I think. It's relevant, but we need to see that it's done a whole lot better. That's the one.
Just a final comment, like the structure of the executive, the LGA is broken up into regional councils and others, and I think the Mayor of Forbes is on the executive, a local councillor, and not a treaty violet. I think blows and bullets.
So, yes, I think there'll be plenty of discussion post that conference. I think the message is getting through. The Alliance of Western Councils, and we'll make some sort of comment to it. We'll get on the cherries between every other thing. But I know we talked about it. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the Local Government New South Wales Conference? Nothing further. We'll put that all those in favour. Against carried. Moving on to item 10, the reports of the General Manager, disclosure of interest, councils and designated persons. The documents are there. Someone having to move recommendations that the table disclosure of interest for councils and designated persons be received and noted. Thank you. Councillor Brewer moved. Councillor Bruce. Councillor Brewer.
Simply moving the recommendation, thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? We'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Council, I just mindful of time, but if you want to have a 5-minute break, and we're up to 11:05 now, would that suit councils, or how are we situated? We'll come in next. We'll break for 5 minutes, grab a cup of coffee. And I'm recording again, so, council, we'll get started again after that short break. We move on to the reports of the Division Manager of Finance Administration. The first of those being the reconciliation certificate. And for potential move and sector, that's October and November together. Someone happy to move item 1 of the Division Manager of Finance Administration's report? Thanks to Councillor McCloskey, move. Second, Councillor Bruce. Councillor McCloskey.
Just for the recommendations, please.
Thank you. Just for Councillors' interesting note, I'm sure you have the amount that we've now got on terms at 4.95%, which will make a difference to our budget. And thank you, Finance Administration, for getting that on the train, and it's going to make a difference to our bottom line. You want to comment? Yeah.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. One offering on the reconciliation certificate for November. You'll see there that there's 2 investments listed as numbers 1 and 2, respectively. In the previous report, they were actually set to mature before the end of November. However, they were the remaining 2 items directly with the National Australia Bank, and for some reason they didn't follow my instruction to return those to council on the maturation date. So they were still existing at that point. So I've dated those as of the 30th of November. And they have been now repaid to council. And moving forward, excuse me, I've engaged members mentioned by Nerd Securities, so it's much easier, smoother transition, and we'll have the reporting and whatnot out of them, and they've opened us up to a lot of different competitive market rates and amounts, so we should see some improvement there. Saying that, National Australia Bank is still quite strong in their offerings. We've got CBA engaged. I think they've given us similar sort of off-rate competitive direct investment options as well recently. So.
Good. Thank you. Any further comments or questions regarding item 1, Division Manager of Finance Administration report? Nothing further. We'll put that. All those in favour? Carried. Moving on to item 2, statement of rates and annual charges. Someone have to move those. Thank you, Councillor Brewer. Second, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Brewer. Just move your recommendation. Thank you. Any comments or questions regarding the statement of rates and annual charges? I'm looking at the date on that, 8th of November. I assume that would have increased a reasonable amount since that time. Manager of Finance Administration, is that true, or how we?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I was unable. So generally they've been captured mid-month. The report that I used taken as of the 8th of November in preparation for this meeting. At the time I was checking that compared to previous month's offering that was reported to council. As you might know, that slight discrepancy existed within the Warren Water Fund as it was disclosed. It seemed to have been a typographical error from our rates officer at that point. So I have gone through this more comprehensively since and reviewed the whole content and arrangement of reporting. So yes, as of the 8th of November 23, compared to a similar time at the 17th of November last year, you can see that it's slightly lower. And it's because of that, week or so difference. So we still have payments and so forth coming in. So from what I've seen from an interim review of December recently, early in December, it's very comparable to previous periods.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding item 2, the statement of rates and annual charges? Nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Moving on to item 3, the works progress report coming out of the finance administration area. Someone having to move that. Those 2 items there. Councillor Derrick, you're happy to move, thank you. Second. Councillor Walker, Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no questions. Up to your recommendation.
Thank you. Any comments, questions regarding item 3? Nothing further. We'll put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Moving on to item 4, the Ministry of Finance Administration's report there, the review of Council's 22-23 operations. Quite an extensive report there. Someone happy to move that? Councillor Whiteley, happy to move. Second, Councillor Walker. Councillor Whiteley.
Yeah, I've noted the audit and the recommended to council and through you, Mr. Mayor, asked the divisional manager wants to comment on any of that. For the chair.
So the initial report put to council in October is more of a, it is actually based on the same content, excuse me, and the same level of performance indicators. It's just now this report was designed, as mentioned, to come back to council and inform the taken. So this is the similar array of performance measures or KPIs on offer, and detailed part therein with the audit report. And I believe that was circulated to council prior to the meeting. So from my perspective, fairly well everything that was disclosed in the prior report is consistent in the offerings from the audit office. Man, the only area that we're in trouble, and we always will be in trouble, is the percentage of
Grant funds.
own funds versus grant funds, and that's, we wish we were Sydney City Council that gets $650 million worth of rates. And they can't, and from what I gather, they can't clean them properly either.
Do we read anything on page 18, councillors? Through at the top, the rate and annual charges outstanding percentage. We've historically been at that 5 and even less percent. Are you reading anything into that? And the question to the division manager of finance administration there, in 7-8, is a little bit higher than we've traditionally been.
From memory, we discussed this in the October meeting, and upon review of it, it seems to be more over a timing issue at that point. So we had an increase there. Now, without trying to seem too technical, the mechanics, I'll call it, of the financial statements work on an average kind of assumption and how it delivers this KPI with respect to changes and use of cash and so forth. But from my perspective, upon review, it realistically just comes down to that one capture, that point in time. Our rates recovered post 30 June have been consistent with the same months in prior years. I'm not really concerned that we can.
Mr. Mayor, there is a chance that a very large private work that we finished in June and we're waiting for payments could be in there.
Oh, okay. It could may not be.
Yeah, no,
Rates.
I don't think that is, no. This is purely just in relation to rates and annual charges. So
Yeah.
the collected rates and annual charges and adequacy of debt recovery efforts. So you're saying that a large private work wouldn't be in there? Because that's very, okay, take it back.
That's right. As long as you're just monitoring it, yeah. It's just that would have thought it's 30th of June compared to the 30th of June or whatever the reporting year is, so they would be the same. And when you're talking about a timing issue, I'm not quite, you're suggesting that someone was potentially a couple of ratepayers were after the 30th of June and therefore that impacts this number. Is that what?
So one key thing around that would be the capture of whatever we had received at any given point in time. So if we've had items just in that transition from 30th of June to 1st of July, say, we might have had something outstanding at the end of June and it was paid not far off into July.
Yeah.
To put it in further context. So
Yeah.
we have, say, for VPAYs, which is the largest share of rates money that we receive. I can't explain why it wasn't paid when it was due, but for whatever reason, people have left it a little bit later and paid. So I think from memory, it's about 5 to 7 days delay sometimes, and then the VPAY kind of money can hit the council's bank account, and it's adjusted there. And one other item that may fall part of that, but I think it's actually billed separate to the rate system. So it just depends on how we've treated it in our financial statements disclosure, where we had more billing going out for waste charges. Additional services, basically.
Thank you. I think you addressed my question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor White.
Didn't we have a slight delay because of a technical issue with the rate notice? Didn't that delay it? That didn't.
3.4. It was across both. It was, yeah, so the final wrap up and finalisation of the 22-23 year was impacted around that receipting aspect alone, because we weren't able to receipt them until after they had, so they being the software provider, their development team needed to fix something before we could try and wrap that up, so yeah.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions regarding item 4, the report of the Divisional Manager of Finance Administration? Nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour? Yes, carried. The reports from the Divisional Manager of Engineering Services. First of those being the Works in Progress report pertaining to roads. Someone happy to move that? Councillor Whiteley, happy to move. Second, Councillor McCloskey. Councillor Whiteley.
Mr Mayor, councillors, quoting our divisional manager, engineering is away, the ace is away, so I commend the King to comment.
Most of this, the road stuff, I mean, I went, sorry.
He wants to be okay.
True word spoken.
What's interesting, but on page 1, Mr Mayor, what's happened is that over the last 12 months or so, a lot of the flood damage repairs, very hard to try to sort out job number analysis, particularly with the treasurer away. She's very good at analysing where flood damage expenditure is in job numbers that relate also to Shire Road, unsealed, sealed maintenance, etc. On page 1, I'm just very pleased that our expenditure on rural sealed roads, the Divisional Manager of Engineering Services attempted to try to remove the flood damage that's contained within the rural sealed roads and rural unsealed roads to make it look as though we think there's a little bit of over expenditure time-wise there, but not as bad as when it really looked like flood damage. Because a lot of the expenditure on page 2 that's contained within that March 21 AGRN and on page 2 it used to be contained within those expenditures. Finished the pothole program. Pothole program included a reasonable amount of shoulder work as well, not just potholes, but you could actually do shoulder work, which is good.
that had to be completed by?
February next year.
Oh, sorry, we've got
February
a
next
clear
year,
fund
yes,
that's going,
yes.
that's good, thank you.
Now, on page 3, as per what council and the roads committee is stay within budget, up and down with the reseals and things where you need it, and that's what it's all about. There's actually probably another 39,000 of curb and gutter works and things that are probably going to go into the Dubbo Street rehabilitation to change the budget. What's actually just been reduced is really the budget on Industrial Access Road reconstruction works. That's the final one, and it will just get smaller and smaller and be done within the budget of what's left. Lots of good reseals done. Still a few things getting organised. No real hassle. Time-wise, that actually now has been extended out to the 30th of June 2027, but we will finish that 2 or 3 months into next year. Of course, on page 4, the $2,337,685 budget is kind of no more, because that's what the left of that goes into that 10.3 million that's been applied for. And so we spent about 900,000. We only had 3 months, and in fact, we weren't even into 3 months. You just can't. We couldn't organise ourselves as quickly as we would like to, because of the state of the Dora Road was done, Summer Martha Guy Road, Summer Kai Training Road, Corinda Road, and Wombiana Road yet to be done. I would like to find some outdoor staff to actually fill some crews. Again, anybody knows anybody? We're interested in their applications. Reseal is a priority of engineering services, and very soon we won't need to worry for 20 years in our parks. Something pretty important. 7515 on page 6, the really big job. We don't think any real hassle budget-wise, and see how there's sufficient, that $170,100 in gravel shedding that's been moved elsewhere. It's there, clearly, obviously available. In the new year, analysis of the tenders received for the big project on top of page 7, Warren Road, the Warren Road bridges, and so far, very pleasing result. I'll call it draft result of the tenders we've received. They're still being analysed. There's your split up of your regional roads repair program, which is the next bit on the bottom of page 7 that we just resolved. But we will check out Gillandern Street to see, double check it. A lot of local roads and community infrastructure stuff that's in roads is there on page 8, and then the traffic counts.
My belief is that 7515, the last couple of cases were sealed yesterday, although I saw Fulton Holding going out that way. Yeah, so that's good. So that's the end of that particular project, 7515. Yep. And the grade crews, the next, there's 2 grade crews out there, aren't there?
Yes, I think they'll be splitting. I think one will do heavy patching. I'm sorry, where Scott's going.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Tick that quite a big project that's tied up 2 grade crews off, and we can get some other things done. That's probably the point I'm trying to make. Councillor Whiteley.
Councillor Kinsey and I had the opportunity of inspecting 7515 in detail as they were about to bitumen the last seal. It's a good job, and hopefully done on budget. But the boys have done a good job, and hopefully the drainage and everything seems to be planned out well.
Yep, and all those culverts obviously went in because there was one that wasn't done, and then obviously would have been done.
It's done now.
Yeah. That's good. Sorry, councillor, that 751 we talked about is just the Warren Road going to Canal. Sorry, councillor McCloskey, did you?
Yes, so just note the difference. On page 3, there are 3 jobs which I'm assuming are reseals. Corinda Road, Rehab, Fire Training and Market Eye. They've all gone over budget. I'm assuming they're within a budget. Totally. If you have a look at the allocated money is against the expenditure.
That's what I just said, councillor Cox.
Yeah, no, but my question was, or my question is, given those figures, those $100,000 figures, were they given if you know the area you're going to do and the square meterage and your unit rate for a particular area multiplied, then becomes your budget?
No, Roads Committee realised that it could go up and down, and I think they've been trying to stick to segments. Yeah, this time they stuck to segments.
Yep.
That went under and over.
Yeah, but again, if you know the length of the segment and the square metres within the segment and the unit rate for the resale, that would give you an estimated budget.
They'll learn next time.
And also, you've alluded this earlier, the 5th grade crew. So where is that in terms of meaning it up? Have we got anybody at all?
We've got the two out of the 3 officers ready for secondment, but we actually have to be able to backfill their positions.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions on one of the Division Manager Engineering Services report, Plan of Roads? Councillor
Yeah, just one more if I may, please.
Certainly.
On page 8, the last item, the $3.96 million, down the side in terms of the scope, it's got royalty and cottage, 880,000.
Royalty and cartage.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's there.
I assume that's what Lila meant.
They're just doing some scope work. Too much information.
Exactly. Any further comments, questions regarding item 1 of the Division Manager Engineering Services report, pertaining to roads? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Item 2, Division Manager Engineering Services report pertaining to town services. Someone happy to move that? Information to be received and noted. Councillor Jackson, thank you. Second, Councillor Walker. Councillor Jackson.
Just a recommendation, the information be received and noted, and any comments you made by the council officers.
Town Services Manager, in your capacity as acting Division of Manager Engineering Services, are there items we should have our attention drawn to, or are there items of concern that you need us to be aware of?
Mr Mayor, none specifically. The projects are progressing. Obviously, as with everywhere around at the moment, we're struggling to secure contractors and so forth to do some of these works. But we are, I'm working hard to try and get them done as quickly as we can. If there are any specific questions, I can answer.
Getting someone to do these things. Yeah, that's right. Oh, no, it's just, all these ones just approved request for qualifications, or lots of work to be done.
Yeah, it's one of the
page
reasons,
23.
Mr. Mayor, the Town Services Manager actually has a project officer services for a 3-month temporary program to actually help him to get all those RFQs done and assessment.
Through Mr Mayor, most of those on page 23 are the local road and community infrastructure projects, so we actually, thankfully, we have lots of time to be able to tick those ones off. There's a 2 year time.
Any further comments, questions regarding item 2 of the Divisional Management Engineering Services report pertaining to town services? Nothing further, we'll put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Item 3, user management engineering service report pertaining to the recruitment workshop. Someone happy to move that information? Councillor Jackson, happy to move. Second. Councillor Bruce, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have, just moving that the information be received and noted.
Any comments, questions? Councillor Bosky, yours.
Yeah, through sir. Traffic lights, did we get some vandalised, broken into? In the yard or out on the job?
Out on the job. It's it's a common, unfortunately, it's a common problem that we're facing. They break in and steal the batteries in the solar, the controllers and the solar panels. Well, they try to. You know, I think we lost 5 of 8 batteries.
So again, parked on the side of the road or parked in someone's property?
No, I would assume parked on the side of the road. I did note that one of the variable messaging boards that we had out on the road, someone had attempted to break into that and steal the batteries as well. But it's a little bit more robust. There's a locked cabinet, and underneath the locked lid, there's a steel plate that's over the top of the batteries that's bolted down with a dozen bolts. So it slows them down significantly.
It's amazing, yeah, really amazing. Any further comments, questions regarding item 3, pertaining to the workshop of the fleet? Nothing further, put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Moving on to the reports of the Manager of Health and Development, the first of those being the development application approvals. I'm happy to move those 2 development applications. First, thank you, Councillor Bruce, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Bruce.
So just moving the recommendation.
Nothing further on those development applications? Okay, so put that, all those in favour, against, carried. Item 2, the works progress report from the Manager of Health and Development. Someone happy to move the, again, the information received and noted. Councillor McCloskey is happy to move, and second, Councillor Walker.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just have one question. And I think the General Manager alluded to it earlier in the meeting with regards to the lining of the pool and the update as to where that works program specification tender process is at.
Advertising on Tuesday.
Advertising this Tuesday. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we should have the information and be able to make a decision early in the new year. Was that what?
We're hoping so. Relining, and there's a chance that it's next Tuesday, not just Tuesday, this Tuesday, I think, is the request for tender for the amenities kiosk, and then the week after, so I'm just a week out. Both of them, I think, are closing on the 16th of January.
So just a question to the Manager. Well, you're happy with the specifications? There was a consultant engaged that you spoke with, and we found they had a look, etc. You're happy with the specifications that
Yes.
that person came up with? Yeah. In terms of thickness of the membrane and
Yes.
all those things that, yeah. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding item 2, the Manager of Development? Thank you, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering if there is a date or any sort of progress or target date for the animal shelter replacement?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's still in its planning stages at this stage, yeah.
Any Anything further on item 2, the Range of Health Development Services report? Being the case, we'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried. And item 3, the one LEP health check and the recommended changes. Someone happy to move that quite long recommendation there in terms of modifications to the health check and the recommended changes? Councillor Whiteley, you happy to move? Second? Councillor Jarrett, Councillor Whiteley.
LEPs are long and drawn out processes, but they're important. We've seen in neighbouring councils at the moment, if you don't get your LEP right and you don't have the opportunity, it frustrates industries that want to come to town. I think we need to do some more work on this, but I also asked the Divisional Manager on the get together we had earlier on, we talked about the size of rural zone, 1,000 hectares. We haven't continued on with that.
Through you, Mr Mayor, if I may, I did ask some other representatives on their opinion on that matter. And they suggested that anything under that size may not be economically viable. Now, I don't know much about bundle of land or how to farm it or anything, so I'm just going off their point of view.
I would personally disagree, but through you, Mr Mayor, agriculture varies in intensity. A 1,000 hectare cotton farm is huge, like that's corporate owned. A viable cotton farm would be 200 hectares. Other animal things would be different. In part of our if you're under rural, if you're doing a completely grazing operation, it is possible that 1,000 hectares would be economically unviable. If you were, because it wouldn't be enough, if you were doing other mixed farming operations, you wouldn't need 1,000.
That was a council decision at the time after looking at all the relevant information. Certainly can't make a decision.
No, I'm not.
If I may, through.
I'll go Manager of Health and Development, not the top.
Thank you. The minimum lot size, 1,000 hectares, is associated with the dwelling. You can subdivide for the purpose of agriculture down to 2 hectares. There's also the option of intensive agriculture, which involves a water licence, so cotton growing would fall into that category.
You still can't put a dwelling there.
That's correct. Oh, sorry, no, for intensive ag you can. But it has to be associated with the 88B for the water licence.
So since '98, the water licence are not related to the land. Sorry, Mr Mayor, this is probably not the discussion for this place. I just, the point I'm bringing up wasn't on, given to us as a discussion point, that's all.
Yep. And I think when we come to actually revising the LEP, that is the sort of question that we need to probably address in a workshop type situation where we can have a pretty frank discussion about how that may or may not impact others. I think the other point is that the LEP 9 on page 7, the idea that you can have a secondary dwelling on a large rural hold is something that we do need to address. I just wondered, do you want to provide, program management development, what next steps in terms of LEP? When do we have to actually have completed our next LEP?
I don't think we're stipulated with the deadline, it's only an encouraged timeline.
Yes.
Yeah, so if we've got the process happening, it'll, yeah.
And so then next step, in terms of where we're going with, we've had done the health check, it's recommended changes. Next
Yes,
step is,
then a suitable consultant will do a planning proposal that goes off to the Department of Planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when does council have some input into that?
For public exhibition or
Yeah.
for, yeah,
Oh, it's way down the timeframe, is that what it is?
I believe so, yes, yeah.
Thank you, okay. Any further comments, questions regarding the LEP health check? Item 3, the National Health Development Services report. Nothing further, put that, all those in favour? Yes, carried. Moving on to item 10, which is the notice of motion and questions with notice. I have none of those. Unless another council has item 11 I'm talking about here, matters of urgency, I don't believe, well, I have certainly have no notice of urgency. Do any other councils have any urgent matters that need to be considered? Nothing further. We move to item 12, which is the confidential matters. Right. Council, we need a resolution to proceed with the committee of the whole of both council to consider matters, the matters listed and any other matters for which a separate resolution has been carried at this meeting. So, from Councillor Taylor's happy to move, Councillor Jackson. Our second resolution, the same group of one, then by that is the need for a resolution to exclude the press and public from the committee of the whole closed council meeting for the reasons stated in the motions of referral. So you, sorry, Councillor Taylor and Councillor Jackson, have to move that way, we'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried.
Let me just close the door and.
Is everyone or?